It's showtime in action. What's up, kiddo?
It's good to see you, Billy.
Finally catching
Always.
up. Finally catching
Yeah.
up.
You're looking dapper as usual.
Oh,
Look at you.
yeah. Dude, I'm so fat. Hey, you're looking
Yeah.
good.
You're not fat. You're not
Hey,
fat.
so listen, I'm going to cut right to the chase. Robbie Frid was probably my best friend when I played on the London Knights. Him and a
Yes,
guy
we
named
were.
Brian Appel and Roy Gray and Donnie Margetti was a good guy. A bunch of good guys on that team. All good guys, really. Only a couple donkeys. But I just want to ask you, how are you doing? And who got you into hockey, Robbie Frid?
Yeah, no, it's good to see you again, Billy. I love you, and just nice seeing your smile again. And hey, look, I always had that feeling when you stepped on the ice. I knew that we had a player that just. Do you ever get that feeling when you're playing with guys that you just were like, wow, this guy's the real deal? And that's how I felt about you. So I just wanted to let you know that. And you know what? You had a lot of skill, but you showed up and just you meant a lot to me the short time that you were here.
Yeah,
So,
listen, Robbie. I want to appreciate. I want to say I appreciate the kind words. But this interview is about you today. Where did you start your hockey, and who got you into hockey, and how old were you, Robbie Frid?
Yeah, I was obviously young, being a Canadian, Billy, and starting young. And
How old?
unfortunately, I never met my biological father in that too. So I was raised by a single mom. So I played house league a lot growing up, right? Just because of travel and expense and things like that. But yeah, I played a lot of sports too. Baseball was my sport.
You're a great baseball player.
And you played ball too, and I knew that. And you and I connected in London, and we talked a lot about our ball days.
Did you play? I know your positions, but tell the people.
Catcher. I was a catcher, but a number 4 hitter too. I could hit bombs and play third base.
You had a bomb for a shot too, Robbie.
Yeah. So that's how.
Shot.
Yeah. I couldn't hit the net, but that's okay.
Well. So now you're a young kid growing up in Canada. You're playing youth hockey. How old are you when you start to think about I might have a shot to play in the OHL? Because
really,
first step.
No, I never actually even thought about it, Billy. I was just so embraced in baseball. And then losing my mom to cancer when I was 15, that really disrupted my life, right? It was hard. And I remember being, finally making AAA, I think in Bantam or even minor midget, right? And I was in a tournament in Peterborough when my mom was sick, and I was angry. I was big, I was physical, but I was mad at life too, right? And I just ran over a ton of guys that tournament in Peterborough. And, there were scouts there, as we do know, at the AAA level. And so that's how it kind of started. That's how it started, Billy. They just saw, yeah.
Who was the scout?
Bob Giroux was a scout with London at the time.
Can I say one thing? Hold on. Don't move around so much because it's gonna go. It's not. We're gonna have trouble speaking just for the rest of the interview. Try to stay still if you can. Listen.
Yeah, it's hard for me. Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. You're fine. Listen. So tell us. You're 15 years old. You're at a AAA tournament. You're running around like a maniac. Did you get into a scrap?
No, you knew those days, right? It was just they had the cages on. Yeah, I might have just got into a little one, but at the end of the day, you know that. Yeah, you can fucking grab the cage, twist it. Some of them are bolted on tight, but you know that. It's I didn't fight until my first year in London. I came to camp.
You're coming into the OHL. You're a young kid. You're a big kid. You're angry. You're a heavyweight, and you're fighting all these maniacs. I saw you fight Eric Carnes. And that's when I knew. I was like, wow, this kid got balls of steel. I'm like, because if Eric Carnes grabbed me, I probably would have turtled. So
well, you did fight him in the NHL. I did see that too. You got balls of steel too.
I almost knocked him over back.
You did amazing. But no, that first year in London, it was tough. I came to training camp, but there was some hype too. In my Burlington, my hometown paper. Bob Giroux was comparing me to Louis DeBrusque, saying this is the type of player that Fritter is, right? So, to not being an actual fighter, really having that in me, but then having an article written about you and saying that you got to fill this guy, Louis DeBrusk's shoes. And we knew that Louis, probably the toughest in the OHL or the Canadian Hockey League at that time. And he just left the Knights my first year. So it would have been your second.
Shout out to Louis DeBrusk. Absolute legend. I heard nothing but unbelievable things about him the whole time I was there. And, the pictures in the locker room showed it all. I mean, this guy had the biggest arms I've ever seen on a hockey player, and he could play pretty good too. I mean, he wasn't just a one-dimensional player like yourself. Right. Listen, you weren't just a one-dimensional player. You were a hard-nosed right winger. You ended up playing some minor pro hockey. Did you was that in your plans when you were in the OHL? Were you thinking about Canadian college, or what was going on while I was playing with you when we were 18-year-old kids, right?
Yeah, just 18 years old. You came in and actually, took my spot. I was playing above a line where I shouldn't have been, right? Excuse me, Billy. I was more of a role player, and you were a skilled guy, but obviously brought a lot of toughness, but you got tougher as the years went on too. We do know that, right? But I didn't have any the only expectations I had with the Knights was just try to contribute. And then once I fell into that role and being an enforcer and fighting Karens and those guys.
Don't mean to interrupt you. We may have a time delay. We may have some problems going back and forth. But if I start to talk over you, I apologize, bro. But it's my job to ask you questions. Did you feel like it was part of your role to look after American kids that came in? Because you and a bunch of the other guys really you made fun of me one night, and then I was like, oh man, that's cool. They were all laughing, but they weren't laughing at me. They were laughing with me. I think it was you guys were like, dude, shave that bush or whatever, dude, or something. And I was like, oh my God. And then I came in the next day and I shaved the bush, and the boys went nuts in the locker room. It was hilarious. And then you took me out for beers, and you showed me how to smoke weed out of a beer bottle. I think you put the bottom of the beer bottle.
Some hashish tokes.
Hash tokes and you
we had a hash dealer here. We did.
Really made it an experience for me, not just the hockey. I really got to make good friends with you, and really it starts just because you're growing up and playing against the Canadians. It's so different. The Canadians are always kicking the crap out of the Americans in these tournaments, and it's a little intimidating. So, but you made me feel at home. I probably would have.
I felt special when you showed up, and Art Saran. God bless you, Artie. We love you. Rest in peace. Yeah, and we love him. You know that, and he's a big part of all of us, right?
He knocked out Jamie Langenbrenner with a hit right in front of the bench. The boys loved him. You remember that one?
Yeah, I do. And Artie could hit, and he was just a good team guy, and obviously not the most skilled guy, but he could do a bit of everything. We knew that, right? But at the end of the day, when you guys showed up, I don't know, it was something very new to me, right? Having American, born guys coming in and brothers.
About that? Was that the first time
I loved it. As soon as I met you, I was like, you know what? This guy is a cool shit, and I just. And then you laying your balls on the line too, and you had a couple good scraps right away. You're just like, that's it. I want to be here. Yep, first game. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I was always knew you had my back, and and at the end of the games, Agnew used to put us out there. I'd center you and maybe who was the other? Me and Ryan. Us, we were kind of best friends. Me, you, and Ryan, and Danny Ray was another special kid to me. And Jason Allison was also very nice. Roy Gray.
That's right. We had some good teammates there. Jordan Willis. We had a lot of guys,
And London Knights over the years really got this reputation to be like the New York Yankees of the OHL. So I felt I knew that back then that it was one of the better places to go, just because people were telling me that. Yeah. Just because people were telling me that though. I didn't but now history has proven. So tell us about how you're winding. Yeah. So that's your second or third year when I meet you, Robbie, in the OHL.
Second year, Billy. Second year. My first year, I was actually, the last cut in training camp, and they sent me down to the London Nationals. I was a 10th round draft pick, right? So, so they used me. They called me up a couple times, and I ended up obviously fighting and playing my role. But my second year, when you came too, that was my first year, right? And then my third year was really my second year. and you were already gone back to the U.S. But I had a really good year. I finished fourth in the league in majors and in penalty minutes, and I had 30 some odd points in 50 games. So I really, I looked at when you came into town, and like I said, you were a winger, but centerman and everything else, and just your skill set and just how you just showed up to the rink every day. I embrace that, Billy. So I think you, in playing with you too, really helped me even get my free agent tryout to St. Louis. And I've never been able to tell you that, but
wow.
I want to say thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've always had really wow, man, that's awesome. So listen, now you're turning pro, right? Tell us about, did you feel like you deserved an NHL deal, or what's going on in your head now? How old are you, 20 years old?
Yeah, 19, 20. No, I was in camp.
You deserved a tryout somewhere, or did you get to an NHL?
No, I had a good last year, and, Colorado ended up falling.
Very last year, where are you? You're in London? Did you play all your time in London?
Yeah, I'm in London, and like when we met, our second year was really my first year, and then my last year was, not my overage year, but that was basically, my breakthrough year, and I had a good year.
In the OHL.
I had a good year, and I had a couple calls from NHL teams, but the way it was, right? It was, you have to fill out some roster spots and things too. And I wasn't taking Tony Twist's job. That wasn't happening in St. Louis, right? So I knew that.
How tough did you get? How did you feel last year in the OHL? Did you feel like you were like, top 3, top 5 guy?
No, not at all. I never looked at it that way. I got tougher as the years went on, but I got my ass kicked too in junior. I had to learn, right? And, fighting guys like Cairns and Bolton and Jeremy Stevenson, just a lot of
names, fellas. Listen to this kid.
A lot of guys, right? It is what it is, right? So, I had to learn. I was always a righty, and I had to learn, even though that it was tough for me to throw less because
I had about that because American kids have
shoulder, right?
Hey, listen, sorry, man. We might have a time delay because I'll keep trying to jump in, but I apologize.
Okay.
Tell us about how, Robbie, tell us about what you mean about that. Because for the average American kid around here playing high school hockey, they have no idea about being a righty or lefty. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's just, the times when we played.
As many lefties.
Yeah, when we played, Billy, that, being a southpaw could make a big difference in a fight, right? And we didn't listen. I deal with a lot of shit right now, right? I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at 38, dystonia, another neuromuscular disease. It's very hard for me to sit here and talk even, right?
Oh, I know. I know,
but at the end of the day, I'm telling these kids that, there's going to be fighting in hockey, right? We know that happens. I'm against it in junior now with what I've been through and that, and I just think that with the developing brain and the way that we know with science and the lack of support that we have from the league surrounding us, right, that, fighting isn't good, right, at the junior level. But if it's going to happen, you have to know, how to throw both hands, because if you don't, then, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I suffered a lot of trauma early on because I wasn't aware of it, right? So, and you know that. You know that.
Over the years, Friddy, did you just start to practice with your left? Because I, to be honest with you, the older I got, just when I'd be driving in the car, I'd just be going like this with my left hand just to start to train it.
Yeah, just get it out there. You're right.
Because I was a boxer growing up, like I boxed a lot, but you're always in the right-handed stance, so you're never throwing straight lefts. You're throwing left jabs, left hooks, left uppercuts. So, anyways. Listen, Robbie, you're now, 20 years old? You're turning pro. Who's the first pro team you signed with, bud?
Yeah, so interesting. No, sorry, Billy. The first pro team, I actually, St. Louis ended up sending me down to the minors. They were talking about an East Coast League, American League contract, but I had our school money. And that was one of the first years that, the OHL had our school package. So I had all that money sitting there. So I ended up getting a call from Dave Gilmore, one of our captains there in London, Davey Gilmore.
Yeah, what a great player he was. And he was a great guy.
Shout out to Davey. Yeah, so I ended up going to school with him.
Hey, I can't believe he didn't play in the NHL after how he was tearing up the and then he tore up I think he's like the all-time leading scorer in college or something, no?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I played with him out in New Brunswick for a couple of years, and then I ended up signing with the Islanders, St. Thomas University
That's right. That's where he ended
in
up.
New Brunswick. Yeah, St. Thomas. We had a lot of OHL players, Quebec Major Junior League players,
He
and that
knocked
too.
out someone. He knocked out someone with a hit that year too.
Did he?
Yeah, he knocked out one of the first games I got there. He knocked out someone with a hit. I saw two guys getting off. I think I was only
really?
Yeah, yep. I remember because I was like, holy.
I kind of recall it. I'm kind of thinking,
was like as a junior player, like Allison needed him to be Jason Allison.
Yeah, they were a good combo together, and then you getting on that line was even sicker because you ended up bringing some physical presence too, and just a lot. But Billy, we don't have to go there. I know how good you are.
So you're turning pro. So did St. Louis invite you to camp?
Yeah, no. Jack Evans was their head scout and was based in London, so he watched me and all of us my final year there, right? And he called me and he said, "Fritter, I want you to come to camp." And I was like, wow, I get, after being cut my first year, demoted, right, with the Knights, and then, getting back, I was pretty proud of myself and thinking, I did a good job. Yeah. And so, but I knew that I was going into camp not to make the team, but I went in there and I played very hard. And,
are you looking to make the American Hockey League club at this point? Do you have enough confidence with the biscuit and how you can skate and move around and how you the game?
I did, Billy, but I also had my grandfather, who was very educated at the time too, telling me not to piss away my school package. And so that really, and I was on the phone with him a lot. And so, that's why I didn't turn pro. I ended up going
went to college for 2 years and then you left.
2 years. I was going to go graduate my third year, just a BA in economics and religious studies. Father Frid. I could have been Father Frid.
Great minister.
Great minister, yeah. Maybe a cannabis one now. Let's do it. That's right. But hey, we know that. Our good Lord loves the plants.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't mean to make fun of God because he doesn't like to be made fun of because
no.
That's the real deal, man. But he also enjoys a good sense of humor.
That's right. So that Billy just, I really matured, I think, just as rested too. I came away from a lot of trauma in junior and fighting all those guys.
Yeah, Robbie, I didn't want to. Robbie, I got to tell this story, okay? Because part of the reason I wanted to have you on the show is to bring attention to the violence some guys do suffer. When I fought Carnes, I remember the beating he gave you, and I say that because the whole rink was going, "Oh, you were overmatched."
Sure, of course
it was ugly, and I think that's something that we bonded about. I think after the game, I think I stayed with you like extra time to talk.
Yeah, you did.
I think
it was a lot. It was emotional. He's from my hometown.
Yeah,
I had to see him at the bars.
Listen, bro.
But you know what? I showed up. You know what? Eric's a good guy, and I saw him at Emma's back porch. We went out for beers. He bought me a beer, and you know what? He really respected me for showing up. But the year after, when you left, I ended up fighting him again, but I got him on the bench, Billy, and I got on top of him like a pit bull, right?
Like pit bull you are.
He couldn't get his arms out, nothing, right? And I'm just like, fuck
fucking
you.
red-nosed pit bull.
So, it was good.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy the next summer, though, Billy.
You friggin', you taught me a lot about life that night. And because I know you didn't want to do it. You're not that type of guy. You're not you're a fighter, but you're not an evil man. And
thank you, Billy.
And there's different types of guys over the years that I played with that had the role you had. And I was never a fighter, but everybody always wanted to fight me my whole life. So I had to learn how to fight at an early age. I got very good at it. And people didn't know that. So when they fought me, they were like, and now I'm fighting these 6'7" guys like Carnes and Andy Sutton. And I'm like, almost beating them, if not, you could say it was a tie.
Sutz is a good friend of mine too. I grew up with him, playing.
I listened to his interview the other day on Spin Check, and I give the guys a hard time a lot, but they deserve it, bunch of pussies. Yeah, anyways, listen, back to you.
This is a really
you're getting sent down. You're getting sent down. I'm big time. They're fucking low time.
That's right.
You're getting sent down to the minors. You're getting AHL deals. You're getting East Coast League deals. What's your first training camp like? Where was your expectation level to where it ended up?
Yeah, so after I left school, it was just, I just wanted to go play pro hockey, and I knew I was starting at the East Coast League level, and I accepted that, embraced it. I knew that it was still good hockey, and there was a lot of tough guys there in that league, right? So I ended up I started in Kentucky with the Thoroughblades there. I fought Chara in training camp, by the way. Yeah, fucker stuck me right in the stomach. Right, and then cross-checked me in the back of the neck, and I didn't care if he was 6'9". He was only 19 at the time, right? But I got a few shots in, Billy.
I guess he wanted it. He's going after.
Yeah, I guess he wanted it. So, anyways, I ended up getting sent.
How'd you do?
Yeah, I had a good camp. I had a great camp.
How'd you do with Chara? Did you handle him? Did you get?
Yeah, I wasn't scared of him. No, fuck, no.
I ran him over in training camp when I was.
That's right. Compared to some of the guys, that we fought and that. No. There was guys that you truly, did kind of worry about, but
there was guys. So I was in the East Coast League. You know when I knew I was in trouble with my life and how I was and how I operated out on the ice was not in the OHL when I ran in there and they called me Billy the Kid, like running through the place like a fucking lunatic, right? Like I did. No big deal. I was the best. I was the toughest. You were my bestie. Yeah. You saw it. Listen,
I saw it. Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you're going through life, and you start to be real, you know who the tough guys are.
That's
you don't
right.
have to worry about it.
That's right.
Tell us about when you signed with the East Coast League. That's the best.
So I went down to Louisville, and Warren Young, he scored 50 in the NHL, and I was playing there with Danny Rea, too. And
who's Warren Young? Tell us about Warren Young. 50 in the NHL? Who's that? And that's
he scored 50 in Pittsburgh, but he was on a line with Mario Lemieux, right? And Warren, I used to have conversations with him, big 6'4" winger, and Mario used to say, "You know what, kid? And this was his rookie year. Warren scored 50. You've heard about him, I know you have.
Yeah. It's coming back. It's like a Robbie Brown story. Or
Mario just said, "Kid, go to the net, drive the net, play tough when you have to play tough," and he played his role. And Warren taught me a lot that year too, and how to survive, right? And not fighting for a couple of years, coming from junior to college and then back into the pros, right? And
did you work on your skating at St. Thomas?
Yeah. Al McAdam, he was my coach there.
He's the legendary Canadian. I played in the Andy Ganesh, right? For the Maritime Junior A Andy Ganesh.
Yes, I did know that.
That was the coach was unbelievable.
Great league, tough league.
Danny Berry was my GM, and he made it worthwhile with the money. It
helped your development there too. It helped your development.
You know what? When you're not, I was never physically developed. Irish kids grow late. I don't know if you know this, but they do. And I was never physically developed until I was like into my early 20s.
I knew that.
Yeah. So it's not like some people. So when you grow late, it kind of helps you because you get to play if you got balls because you get to play the game to have to use your edges in the corners. You have to use your edges in your skating and your balance and your aggressiveness and your intestinal fortitude to your advantage. I got a story. I was a little kid. My fucking father, he was my coach. I go back to the bench after getting buried. I come back crying. And he goes, we went into the corner and you stood still with the puck. He goes, go in the corner as fast as you can, get the puck and come out of the corner as fast as you can. I did it the next shift. I knocked a kid out with a hit. I didn't know how. I had the puck.
You're fucking explosive.
He tried to hit me, but with my athletic ability, I was able to.
You were a bull. You had a lot of just your stride. You were bull-legged too, but you were just very hard to knock off the puck. Right at the end of the day, trust me, I sat back and just watched a lot. Right, I thought about getting into scouting at some point, but your skating ability was just. Yeah, it was above a lot that I've seen throughout my entire career. Billy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So listen. So talk about when you're turning pro now. Are you fighting? You got 2 years off into college. Are you fighting as a pro, or do you want to fight? Do you miss it?
Oh yeah, I'm fighting everywhere I play.
But do you miss it, Robbie? Do you miss it?
It was embedded in the style that I played. It was never going to leave. Right. It was
in your bloodline, Robbie.
It's in. Yeah. It was created. My first year in junior, getting back to that camp, my first year in London, I fought 6 times, Billy, in 2 inter-squad games, right? And fighting Brad Smith. You know, Smitty was a tough guy.
Yeah, he was my roommate in Birmingham my first year. Bro, I caught him banging this chick through his window one time, walking back to get rolling papers with Craig Crusher Johnson. And I go, did you just see that? So he's looking in the mirror. He's smashing some broad doggy, flexing like this. She doesn't know what's going on. Oh, hilarious, dude. I tell that story all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, I got another great story from that. Hey, did you know a guy, Rick Boyd? Did you know a guy, Rick Boyd?
Yeah, not as much as you.
Yeah, he was my Johnstown guy, but there was another guy. Okay. He was the tough guy in Johnstown, but there was another guy, Boydie, and he played on my team in Birmingham, and he stole my watch, and he was Craig Crusher Johnson's friend. He goes, Boydie got your watch. I go, what? Because it fell out of my track pants in his Jeep, right? And I came back that day. It was a guest watch, $100.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, I come back the next day and I said, hey, did you find my watch? I think it fell out of my pants in your Jeep. He goes, I'll check later or something like that. And I didn't want to be, I was like, oh yeah, no big deal. It was $100, right? But $100 back in 1992 to an 18-year-old kid who just turned pro, you know. So listen, So a week later, Craig Crusher Johnson goes, Tibbs, I got to tell you something. He goes, Boydie, you got your watch. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, go look in his room right now. And I was like, nah, I can't go in his room. He goes, all right, come with me. He opened the door. He just threw the door open like that. And I looked right on his bedstand was my watch. I walked right and I looked at it and I was like, he's been wearing it because it was already on my band.
Oh, maybe he even took it in and got it fitted.
No, it had the different holes. So the next thing you know, right, he comes home, I'm baked. I go, Boydie, I got to ask you a question. Now, I got my pride. This is my tough guy on my team, right?
Yeah.
I'm a healthy scratch, 32 straight games or 28.
Yeah.
I'm the young kid on the team. I'm the practice guy, right?
Yeah.
Phil Roberto, legendary Montreal Canadiens.
He was my GM in Columbus, yeah.
Okay, great. Greatest guy in the world, right? He's the one that sent me to Danny Berry and Andy Guinness. Shout out to Danny Berry. So anyways, I go, Boydie, I got to ask you. I go, did you find my watch? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, and he's like trying to like hustle down the hallway to his room. And I'm like, and he goes and looks, and it's not on his bedstand because I got it in my pocket. And I go, because Craig said he found it or something like that, whatever, right? And he goes, oh yeah, well, he goes, it was here. Or I go, oh, maybe it's there behind that dresser. And he leans behind the dresser to look. I didn't even wait for him to turn around. I just blasted him behind the ear. Knock him out. Yeah. And then when he come to, he wanted to fight. I'm like, you didn't really want to fight when you were asleep. And Craig's like, no, you guys can, fight somewhere else. Like I was like, all right, let's fight. And like we would have trashed that apart, whatever. So we fought it the next day. My hand was the size of a Swiss ball that you do the sit-ups on, okay?
It's all messed up, yeah.
And I was like, man, and then everyone on the team's like, Tibbs, you got to fight him. Like, you like, I didn't want to fight at all because my hand was broken, or whatever it was. Because I actually had a broken hand, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I tape my hand up like a friggin' like I don't know, like you try to. Like I did it 100 different ways to make it feel all right. So we're skating around the beginning of practice, right? He's like, let's go. And I think he thought I was gonna, because I was 168 pounds, 175, 170. So like 220, 230.
You were light.
He had a big blonde head. So I was like, but I hadn't played all season. I'd just been practicing. And I've been telling him, and I've been watching this guy, Jerome Bouchard, fight all year.
Jerome Bouchard, he's my captain in Columbus.
Okay, good guy, very good guy. Yeah, I love Jerome Bouchard.
Not the toughest guy, but he just showed up. He would do.
Well, he knows how to fight like unbelievable.
He knows.
He was beating everyone up on the. So I started to watch that guy, and I was like, all right, well, you got to really throw him faster than the next guy. Like, it doesn't matter if you knock him up, but the momentum of it all. Right. And like. So anyways, I fought this kid. I speed bagged him. I come in the next day. Coach finds out about it. He goes, we got to go, I got a spot in Andy Ganesh for you. I'm like, all right.
Really?
I'm like, I get it. I probably shouldn't have blasted him in his apartment, but whatever.
And then you go up to the NHL after all is said and done, right? Where's that?
Oh yeah, well, it was a long
road.
road.
That's before, isn't it, Billy?
Yeah, that's before.
So Phil's kicking.
That was my first year pro. My second year pro was with Johnstown and Nick Fatillo, and then that summer right after the season, I went and got locked up. So listen, you're a pro now. You're learning the pro game. Do you think you're ever going to make the NHL when you're in the minors, or are you just trying to get to the NHL?
My goal, my reality was to play in the American Hockey League just one step at a time, and then if I did get there, then I knew that I was one step closer. But my first year in Louisville, I ended up, and there's a video online. It's Robert Frid versus Lee Cole. It was a defenseman in Toledo, and he was one of those guys, Billy, that would wait until, you were at the end of the shift and then try to get you, right? Yeah. And so, Lee broke the code one night, and that was the end of the year. We weren't actually making the playoffs in Louisville. We were close.
What, you snap on him?
The game meant nothing, Billy, and it was like, I think we were down like 5-1, and I was coming off the end of a shift in a power play. I was getting a lot of just different shit, and he ended up grabbing me. He's like, "Let's go, Fritter." I'm like, I'm fucking just coming off 2.5 minutes, bro. Like,
and you'd like to score a fucking goal one time.
He fucking sucker punched me, broke my nose. I was just fucking, and then a light switch went off. I fought him. Did the best I could, but you know that when you get your
when you're blind after you get punched in the nose.
And then after the fight, he ended up breaking away from the linesman, and he went and raised the roof. And there was about 6,000-7,000 crazy Toledo fans going nuts. And I don't remember a lot of it, but I came in right behind him. If you guys got that video, look that up.
I've seen it. Tell the story, you fucking sicko. Tell the story.
I broke his jaw in 10 places, knocked out 6 of his teeth, and then Andy Van Helleman called me.
How'd you do it? How'd you do it?
What do you mean?
I mean, he did what he did, and then you went squirrely. So what'd you do to him?
Like I said, I was blacked out. I think a lot of it, but all I remember was him after the fight raising the roof and egging on the crowd after he.
Yeah, it's not cool.
No energy. I'm like,
I speed bagged. Hey, All right, sorry about that. Hey, listen, you know what? I got a similar story. I didn't do anything crazy after, but I just speed bagged Todd Fedoruk, my first AHL fight, right? And when I got back playing, I speed bagged him. And he got up from the fight. I think he was so embarrassed about getting speed bagged of a fight he started. Because if you start the fight and you get speed bagged, it's 10 times worse. So anyway, he's going back to the box going, and like doing all this shit. And I was like, I watched this video now for 20 years going, that kid just got his ass kicked. And he's going back because there was a guy in the box going like, ugh. And even the Philadelphia Phantoms announcer was like, oh, he hit him with a bomb. He threw a wild left that went around the side of me. He didn't even touch me, but not on rockers. If people don't know, they call the blades rockers. Anyways, you're down. How many years pro now when you're starting to say, hey, fuck it, I might have to.
So, hey, listen, let me finish this story because it ended my American Hockey League career, right? Because Andy ended up calling me, Billy, 2 days after.
Who did?
Who? Andy Van Helleman, the referee. He was, at that time, the officials, he called all the suspensions. And he called me up and he said, Fritter, I'm not going to give you 2 or 3 games. And I'm on the phone. I'm like, oh, thank you, Andy. Because I broke this kid's jaw. I fucking shattered his face. Right?
Wow,
he goes,
did you blast him? How did you break his face?
I came in from behind because he broke the code.
So what did you do to him? What did you hit him from behind?
Yeah, he raised the roof, and I fucking pushed the light.
I know he raised the roof. What did you physically do to him?
And I came up behind him, and I popped him, fucking dropped him. Like a bag of fucking hammers.
That's why Billy Big Time got the best show in the world. That's
right.
Why. All right, so what? He's laying on the ice. What are you thinking? Fuck him.
Oh, there was you can watch the video. There was a fucking brawl erupted, and then I went to the dressing room, and the owner came down with Toledo police, and they wanted to charge me. And then, the police ended up kicking the owner out of my dressing room and said, no, Rob. nobody's going to get charged.
You know what I'm thinking? The slap shot scene when they're like, hey, the Hansons. The cops come to the door and they go, the Hansons. Yeah. And then they shut the door and they go, hey, the cops are there. And they go, buy a pizza. You got a phone call. Buy a pizza.
Yeah, so this was the end of the first period, Billy. And I ended up going into our team bus.
Yeah.
And then the fans in Toledo ended up they threw firecrackers underneath the bus. They knew I was in there.
Who did? Hold on, stop. I'm a terrible host. Yeah. Reverse that story. Start that one over. That was awesome.
So after the cops ended up, they said nobody's getting charged in this. This is
they could do that in the 80s or the 90s.
So I ended up going back into the team bus. I had to sit there for 2 hours in the bus. Maybe I put a porn on. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, we all used to.
Yeah, maybe my pants were down. I was just chilling out, having a chew, right? And then all of a sudden, all I hear is bang, bang, bang. Oh, yeah, the firecrackers underneath the bus.
Who did that?
The fans, yeah. They were mad.
Against your team?
Yeah.
These people carrying around firecrackers? Are you shitting me?
They were pissed off. Lee jumped me, broke the code, and got his face smashed and carried off on a stretcher.
Fuck him. He's never coming on the big time show.
No, I fought him a couple times after in senior.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and then he said...
I snuck into Canada and tried to play in the Quebec Senior League for $150,000 for the Quebec Radio X. And the next thing you know, I'm just practicing with them for a week. I'm living in an apartment smelling like urine. And the fucking GM from the team, right? Yeah, cat piss everywhere. I've cleaned this place for a week, and it still wouldn't leave. Cat piss is the worst. So the next thing you know, I'm like, what do you mean they're after me? He goes, the cops, they're going to arrest you. Someone's going to arrest you. The feds, whatever. The Canadian government, the royal. I think a fucking Mountie was going to come down and throw a lasso around my neck and take me down and beat me up with a bunch of hockey gloves on or something. Who the fuck knows? Next thing you know, I'm like, what? What do you mean? In the next thing, he goes, I had to drive 7 hours or 5 hours that way to go to another border crossing. He's like, just do it. He goes, trust me. I go, how bad are they looking for me? I just like put it. I'm like, cause that's like 5 hour drive. He goes, just do it. I'm like, the guy was cool as shit. He was like 30 years old. He wanted to give me $150,000 to play in and it was so you know what? I snuck into Canada. Did you hear about this? So next thing he goes, oh, it's a border crossing. He goes, listen. He goes, can I pause this and pee and tell this story and then we're gonna wrap it up? Boom, pause that, please.
Yeah. Pause it up. I'll go too.
My mom's outside. You guys say
we'll be right back.
Give me 90 seconds, kiddo.
Me too. I'll go. We're good. I gotta go for one too.
All right, cool. I'm just gonna pause the recording.
Yeah. Perfect.
Hey, is that again? Mom, are you going to the...
Can we have a smoke break?
Hey, Rebel, what's up? Listen, Frida, your fucking career is unbelievable. You're going to be a regular friend to the show, hopefully. We're going to talk more about your cannabis connections and what you've been doing with your Parkinson's and whatever else. You look really good. And I didn't mean to tell you to stop moving around so much at the beginning, but but I mean, if people don't say, hey, listen, like stop smoking cigarettes, they're not going to stop smoking. You got to have friends to remind you about what you're doing. And it's been a lot better with the video since. So I appreciate that, Frida.
No, thank you.
Listen, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to tell a story, and then you're going to tell us the story about your life after hockey. So in Canada, in the year I believe I did the Be a Broom, I played with the Chicago Wolves. I lit it up. I was by far the best player in the American League. They didn't want me.
Great team. Yeah, I was there in camp.
Yeah, excellent coach, John Anderson, Marty Howe. Some of the best people in the world out there. So the next year, I'm going to Be a Broom. My dad's like, do it. And I'm like, Dad, I'm a pro hockey player. I already played in the NHL. People don't want it's not the show. It's like for the fans. He's like, do it. So he kept signing me up. So the fourth time, I skipped it 3 times. It's my old man, though, right? So in the back of my head, I'm like, I wasn't totally against it, but I didn't want to do it.
I met your dad, and rest in peace. I just want to say that again, Billy.
Yeah, we talked about him today, about that story, how we drove up to watch our first game.
Yeah, we got to give him a shout out. He loved you, and he's proud of you. So you keep going.
I'm trying to
keep
do
going.
good. I mean, I do. For the people that think I'm a fucking drug addict, you guys suck. Like people who do coke once in a while or smoke coke once in a while are not fucking drug addicts, dude. You think fucking
Not a drug addict, Billy.
yeah,
no.
that make
You're a
cocaine
fighter.
out to be like fucking you're the
You
devil.
help people. You help me.
They can go fuck
You've done a
themselves.
lot. You've done a lot for me.
Listen
You've done
up.
a lot for me. That's all
Listen
I
up.
fucking care
Listen
about.
up. This is the best story ever. Freda, thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I was pumped all day.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We've always we loved each other.
Yeah.
So I'm up in Canada, and I'm up in so I'm in the beer brew, and they caught me. I'm like, what the fuck am I getting? So this guy calls me out of the blue, 150 grand tax free. If I I go, buddy, I can't get into Canada. He goes, yeah, you can. He goes, if you sneak in, they can't throw you out. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, 150 grand for 4 months of hockey, right? It was the year after the strike, so it's 2005.
Everything, yeah.
Quebec Studio Radio X is the name of the team.
Yeah,
I get there.
it.
So I get to the border. He tells me, oh, this border, and I couldn't find it. But then I was like, oh, this got to be it because this is such a small road. I go up there. They go, no, Billy, we know who you are. It's a single lane road going into Canada. I thought it was all the highways, right?
I know where
I'm
that border
a single lane, like regular side road going into Canada. And he's like, yeah, I got to the wrong spot. There was no Google, nothing, right? No maps to sneak into Canada.
Nothing.
He goes,
no.
Well, I talked to some locals. I spent the night in the motel. The next day, I drove around like 30 miles an hour, the whole place. I mapped it all out. I had a game plan.
I can see you.
There were cell phones out, by the way, at the time. Because when I snuck, so I went to this. He goes, Billy, this place closes at night. I said, what? What? Little rum. Look, Tibbetts rum. Bumski.
Oh, I love it. Love the label. Nice. I only got the Bumski.
Yeah, fuck Pink Whitney. Bumski. So anyways, at the end of the day, we got I'm doing recon. Now, I'm sneaking into another fucking country. Kid, I'm sneaking into another country. And I'm fucking doing it.
Being in London and just out,
150 grand. I don't have any money, bro. I'm driving around an X5 wanting to go get
like
good
you're
food.
going to
I gotta
a bank.
eat fucking Burger King, kid.
You're going to a bank and you're picking up sacks of money. You're like, I'm going.
For 4 months of like, people are like, oh, it's so crazy up there. I'm like, not crazier than me, bro. So anyway, I go, I get to the border. They go, Billy, we know who you are. I spend the night in the hotel. The next day, I find it. And I look, and I can't drive up there and go, is this the border that closes at 10:30 at night? So it's like across a farm field or something. Right? I'm in Maine, Vermont. Oh, who the fuck knows me? I'm sneaking into Canada. So next thing you know, right? I got this guy coaching me through it on my cell phone. He's like, no, take a right, left, right. He's like a CIA spy sneaking me in. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Right? This is the first time I ever told this on tape, like in detail.
This is wild. I love it. I love it.
So I go up 10 miles an hour because the lights are on in the place, and it's a shack, but it's got one of those arms that goes up and down on a dirt road with a big rock, but you can sneak around the arm and go by with it fit an SUV X5, obviously. So I go up, I look, I take my license plate off or put duct tape on them, I forget. I took them off, actually, to be honest with you. And then I go around, and I had a half joint. Right, I didn't even have a fucking full joint. Right? I had no money. I had a half bone. I'm like, most of my worries is this half bone in my mouth.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing you know, I get in, and now I'm in. So I guess when I cross, I'm in Quebec. Right.
Yeah.
I'm on a road which is like in Cohasset off Jerusalem Road in Situate. Like there's no stop signs, there's no lights, for miles, 20, 30 minutes, bro. And then I get to like a bar area with like gas stations and restaurants. And it's it's a rural border town in Quebec. I pull into a bar, I get a beer. I'm like, am I in Canada? They're like, oh. They were like, because I mean, it didn't say anything on the building. It was just an arm going up and down.
That's right.
And I'm like, but I knew I was in Canada just because of all the street signs, all the way people talked. But I had to hear it from another human. And I had to take a leak, and I had to get a beer. And I called my dad right when I crossed the border, and I said, Dad, I just snuck into Canada. My father busted out laughing like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, my dad's nickname was the Outlaw, and he went to Harvard. Yeah, he wasn't a criminal. It's just his name because Josie.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So listen,
I think that dude with the gate was the actual. He could have been on the Booster Club or part owner.
No. It was a Canadian national border, and it closes. It's such a rural crossing that it closes at like midnight or 10:30.
Billy, listen. When I retired in Odessa, Texas, Saint Jean Richelieu, they called me. All they wanted me to do was sign a card with them in that league, and they sent me, I think, $5,000 cash right to a Western Union within minutes.
Nice.
So
nice,
you obviously that's a bigger contract.
Oh yeah, well I was hanging out with like I think Jason Hamilton, Alexander Mathieu was on my team, and a bunch of NHL guys. We had like an NHL team. It was nuts.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Quebec City already was spending millions to put a squad out there. And Alexander Matthews was a borderline NHL guy his whole career. He was excellent. And I called the Cup run. He was one of our best players. And I shout out to Alexander Matthew, one of the classiest, most best guys I ever met. And Elaine Nazadine, Elaine and Sammy, but Sammy was really my friend. I only hung out in Vegas with Elaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen, like we can. I got my producers here and everything like this. It's me. I could stay all night, but and they've been great and they are unbelievable. And shout out to Jackie Moran, my producer, and Ryan Donnelly, my producer, and his two friends. Can I get you guys' names again, please?
Max and Sam Rand.
I love what you're doing.
Sam Rand.
All of you guys,
cool. Yeah. And when my producers bring their friends up here, it brings all sorts of energy and kind of puts a little bit of pressure on me to stay a little bit sober.
No, that's okay.
Drinking heavy and hard.
You're doing amazing, and I love it. And
everybody says keep up the good work. I know I'm drinking a lot.
Billy,
like that, I'm
a
drinker, so I don't want to be a drinker my whole life. Off and on, heavy and hard. Enjoy the times, green lights. What's up? Anyways, listen, I love you. All right, and hopefully we can do this again soon. I got a bunch of friends. Everybody that's come on my show so far, like I had Kevin Stevens earlier tonight, and Willie Francis, and hopefully everyone likes my interviews and wants to come back on.
Yeah, I'm honored that you brought me on board.
Can we take a moment of silence to talk about your parents real quick? All right, we're gonna talk about your mom and your dad in 30 seconds or less. Tell us about it, and I know you didn't know your dad, and I know your mom died when you were 15, and my dad just died. So tell us what you're thinking about Jesus Christ in the afterlife and your CBD product and everything going on with you, and how you feeling mentally, and wrap it up for me. You wrap it up, and then I'm going to say goodbye, my brother.
Yeah, thank you, Billy. And I'll go back and my mother, obviously, I miss her. Lost her before Junior, but always, lived within my heart, and she taught me, to look after my friends and, to be compassionate for those who do struggle. And then, obviously I've never met my biological father, but Dave Frid, my stepfather's been in my life since I've been 9 years old. So at the end of the day, I do have family. I have support. The game has left me with some physical injuries that are long-standing, Billy, and just it's not going to get better, right? It's hard. But, I believe that I can live with Parkinson's.
Hey, you know what we used to say? Hey, you know what me and you used to say?
Yeah, what's that?
Who fucking cares?
That's right. Who fucking cares? And you're right.
Who fucking cares? You're fucking tougher than everyone, bro. Who fucking cares?
Thank you.
Fuck them.
And you know what? Now we've got a plant here, but it's more about that. It's not just about cannabis. Look at it. It's connecting us back together. And a lot of guys like Riley.
Unreal. And they used to demonize pot.
I got a lot of respect for your best friend and Jason McDonald. We played and fought hard together.
The game was different. Guys like us have head injuries. I don't say that. I think my worst head injury ever came when I fell off a skateboard or something in my driveway. I remember being passed out for like 10 hours, and I kept waiting. Like, how come mom and dad didn't come out? They weren't home or they were in the house, didn't know. Like, my head was like, Boom. So head injuries can come from little kids all the way up. But if you're a hardcore dude, you're going to suffer some head injuries, and you got to learn how to deal with it.
But listen, Billy, and you might respect this, is that,
I do.
That there's so much talk about the long-term effects of concussions and head injury and everything else. That's always going to be embedded in high-impact sports and our game that we love.
Sure.
It's our inability to educate about how to deal with chronic pain, right? And we have all gone down that path where we've self-medicated and not understanding how to deal with that, right? So it's more about that. It's not about fully about that. It's a lot of us are in a shitload of fucking pain, right? And you know, we shouldn't be frowned upon for using cannabis or smoking a joint or even having a couple beers. At the end of the day, it's just about people understanding.
Well, listen, I will be honest with you. I'll totally be honest with you, because I thought a lot about my podcast and what I got 3 young kids. They're very handsome, very talented, very cool, come from very awesome families, obviously well raised. And I got my mother here, my dog, and I'll say this right fucking out loud. I smoked crack, or I snorted coke, or I smoked weed, or I did pills because I was in mental, physical, or emotional pain. It wasn't because I wanted to be a fucking loser.
No.
But people think people are losers because they do that shit. They don't know anything about life. Listen, I've been in the Brexit Society, and I've been on top riding in limos with Mario Lemieux and Kevin Stevens.
That's right.
I don't judge people. I'm not a snob.
Never.
Anyone who judges somebody is a fucking loser. Stop judging people out there and just love each other. Robbie, Frid, thank you for your time, and I love you, brother, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bottom of my heart, I love you, Billy. Thanks.
All right. See you, brother.